Hello, I'm Leroy Rosenyor. Thank you for watching Sports World Have Your Say, the show where you, the football fans around the world, set the agenda. Helping me to chew over the issues is former Birmingham and Jamaica player Michael Johnson, or Jono, as he's known to me. Hi, Jono.
Hi, Leroy.
Yeah, I'm very good, very good.
Good.
Look, Jono, we've got to talk about Chelsea, I suppose. They have won the Champions League. Di Matteo, give me a reason why he shouldn't get the job.
I tell you, there's no reason they shouldn't give him the job. It's everything's going in his favour. He's had a great run, and he's got 2 trophies to his, his achievements. And to actually pick up a team which was low on confidence, and the likes of Lampard, Terry, and even Torres scoring now, it's a tremendous achievement.
Well, look, joining us, Peter in Joburg and Salman in Munich. Peter, we'll go to you first. Peter, how did you feel about that Champions League final last night?
It was fantastic. The way that the spirit of the game, the way the Germans played the game, and the way Chelsea played was very fair. It was a fantastic victory for Chelsea Football Club. It was outstanding.
Do you have anything to say to Salman? He's a Bayern fan. Do you feel any sort of remorse or a little bit sorry for him?
I do feel sorry for him. The Germans played extremely well, and it was disappointing that someone actually had to lose that game, and the Germans played in a very fair spirit. So well done to Bayern, and I also thought the way that Munich put on the event was outstanding.
Salman, hi.
Hello.
I'll tell you what, the Bayern Munich fans were absolutely marvellous in the way they behaved after losing that final. What would you say to Peter?
Well, yeah. First of all, congratulations. From what I feel bad for the world football fan, because they did not see the Bayern that played in the Champions League that got us into the final. A team with wonderful attacks, some creativity, Ribéry and Robin playing the way they do, and of course Gomez scoring. Yeah. But hats off to Di Matteo and Chelsea. I think they played a wonderful game, despite you forget the stats about shots on goal. They played the way they wanted to. They controlled Bayern, allowed them to get frustrated, and then they hit at the right points. And I was scared of one person. His name was Didier Drogba. And I predicted he would score 2 goals, and he scored the winning goals.
But you must be disappointed when you look at the chances they had. I mean, I haven't seen the stats, but it was ridiculous, and top-class players missing some easy opportunities where, Bayern should have been out of sight.
Yeah, no, the first 15 minutes in the Champions League, when Bayern scores 1 or 2 goals, then they build that momentum, and you're definitely right. Those class players, all of a sudden their talent rises up. But if you see their shots, Robin over the crossbar, yeah. Gomez bumbling around, when those shots start happening like that for Bayern, they start getting frustrated. And I think finally that the motivation of playing the final is something that drove them to the final. But I think finally all that weight was finally on them as you got to the 70th minute and the 80th minute. And then when they scored the goal, hey, we won this. Jupp Heynckes made probably his worst call or a questionable call. I'd say a bad call, but a questionable call. And when Drogba scored, I think right then and there you knew that Chelsea were probably going to win this one.
Peter, you've seen Salman talking about shots on target. Bayern had 35 shots and Chelsea had 9. Were Chelsea just a little bit fortunate to come out with the trophy?
I think in any big competition one needs a little bit of luck. And certainly I've supported Chelsea for 40 years. And for the vast majority of those 40 years, we had no luck. So a bit of rub of the green goes down. So yes, I think we were lucky, but that's football. It's any top-class sport, one needs a bit of luck to win, particularly in a final.
Peter, just have a look at this message on Facebook from Peter in Zambia. He says, I'm absolutely delighted for Didier Drogba. His header saved it and his penalty won it for Chelsea. Drogba mightily deserved a big win to cap his career, having lost every major final outside England until tonight. Don't you think it's vitally important that you keep Didier Drogba for the next couple of years, Peter?
I think it would be fantastic. The difficulty is that where he is in his career, if he's just been offered 2 years at Barcelona, the player might want to take that to develop his career. The other thing is there's a lot of money in China, particularly for players of his caliber. So we'd love to keep him, but I don't know whether he actually wants to stay or whether he might go for a big payday somewhere else in the world.
John, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, he's 34 years old,
Yeah.
Didier Drogba. Can't you see why Chelsea don't want to give him that extra year? Or would you just say, look, you've won us the Champions League, have the 2 years?
Yeah, but not only has he won him the Championship League, the performances, what he's gave has been immense. You know, he's definitely a big plus, you know, not just on the field of play as well, his team spirit, actually pulling the lads together. And you could see everybody rallies around him, and you can see he loves that club, so I'd definitely give him another year or even 2.
OK, well, that might be a decision for Di Matteo. After the game, the Chelsea interim manager, Roberto Di Matteo, spoke about how the season had transformed since his appointment.
It's just been an incredible 3 months, you know, very intense, challenging, demanding for everybody, and to finish the season off with this trophy, and also this will mean qualification for Champions League for us next year.
Salman, you know, that man hasn't got the Chelsea job yet. What do you make of that? He's won the FA Cup, he's won the Champions League, and he's still not got the job. Would you give it to him if he was the Bayern boss, having won a couple of trophies?
Yeah, why not? From what I understand, after they were down against Napoli, it seemed like the season would be lost. But look at the run that he led his team. From what I understand, the stars like Cole and Terry were not playing as much. They were resting their stars. But he said, this is our strength. He brought the team together. I mean, my gosh, they beat Barcelona, the team that everyone thought was the unbeatable, the best team in Europe. And then you beat Bayern in Munich in a home game. And you played such a wonderful strategic tactical game. Why not? Why not? You're talking about giving Drogba 1 or 2 years. Why not give Di Matteo that 1 extra year to really get the team to continue to play? However, I can also understand that, and this happens at Bayern all the time, when things don't work out, and I think we're going to probably see some changes. Bayern got the terrible trouble finishing second in the league, in the domestic cup, and in Champions League. Some changes have to be made, and sometimes they're for the better. But Di Matteo, you have to give that, because there's going to be so much love in London and at Chelsea Football Club. If I was the owner, if I was Abramovich, I'd give him 1 more year.
Can I just ask you something though? Do you think that Matteo is a sexy enough name to attract some big names from world football? That's the only issue I've got. Is he going to attract some of the bigger names to want to come and play in this great league that we have?
How much more sexier can you get than Champions League winner? Jose Mourinho, he never won at Chelsea, so and that was the reason why he was brought in. So you know, if it's Di Matteo or if it's me, if I come in, I can say I'm a Champions League winner and I led my team. So you know, you can get as the high price of a coach or a trainer that you can get, but he won it. And he did it with class, and we did it with style.
So I just want to ask Jono, do you think that it's going to be easy for Di Matteo to change tact? I mean, at the moment, he's just managing his friends. What about when he's got to release a few? Is he going to find it more difficult if he gets a job?
Of course he is, but I'm sure he's professional, and I'm sure he's got to make sure that he gets it right if he's going to be there at the helm for next year. And I really do think that they should give him that opportunity to show what a class act he is. You know, he's got the boys playing with confidence, and he's added trophies to that. What more does he need to do?
OK, I just want to listen to this from Gary Neville, who writes on the Daily Mail. Di Matteo has done more than enough to earn the chance to be Chelsea's next manager next season. You only have to think where they were in Naples on February the 21st and where they are today to realise that. Is he right, Jono?
Yeah, I think so. And like I said before, you know, he's done wonders. You know, Chelsea weren't performing, the stars weren't performing. The club was, you know, literally going down the pan, and all of a sudden he's coming and he's re-energised the whole club. The fans are buoyant, the players, the big name players performing, and hopefully that's going to be a plus now for England going into the Euros as well.
OK. Look, just when we talked about Didier Drogba, and I was just change it on to John Terry just a little bit, because you know, John Terry lifted the trophy yesterday. How do you think Didier Drogba would feel about that, having scored the winning goal, the header and the final penalty, Jono?
Well, I can assure you, if I was in the change rooms, I wouldn't have been happy. You know, there he is. You know, he's done what he had to do in the semi-final, and the boys have had a magnificent achievement to beat Barcelona with 10 men, and then to go into the final against Bayern Munich without one of their so-called better players, and to win that trophy, and then all of a sudden, you know, the likes of John Terry are running up the stairs in front of your Didier Drogba, who's done so much for that football club and lifting that trophy. For me, he should have been, you know, pitch side, watching the boys and applauding them, because he really did let the football club down, and he's got out of jail with it.
Salman, how would you feel if your captain got sent off in the semi-final for something inexplicable as kicking someone off the ball, and then him lifting the trophy after the final? Would you accept that as a supporter?
Yeah, he's your captain, and I know there were some questions about it, but I think that Chelsea are Chelsea because of John Terry, Frank Lampard, and yeah, of course they won the championship because of Drogba playing, and he's a team leader. Maybe if there were 3 handles on it, you would definitely add Drogba on there. But I'm not sure how they voted for their captain, but he was their captain. And yeah, sometimes in football those things happen where there's questionable calls in the heat of the moment. But you have to accept your position on the team. And if you're not the captain, from what I understand, it always is the captain who ends up holding up the trophy. And I think it was quite telling for Chelsea that it was John Terry and Frank Lampard holding it up.
Okay, so I just want to bring Desmond. He's a Liverpool supporter in London. Desmond,
hello.
Is it the captain? No matter what the captain does, he should go up and take the trophy. Would you accept that at Liverpool?
I think unless there is something that has been proven, in criminal cases such as in John Terry's case, if it was proven, then no. But prior to that point, he is the captain of the team. He has been there throughout the whole season and throughout the whole European campaign. And I think in that respect, begrudging as it may be to some people, he does deserve to lift the trophy.
John, it's interesting. The fans seem to say he's captain no matter what he does. But it's interesting. Desmond said lead by example. In the game, would fellow professionals accept that sort of behaviour and allow somebody who's behaved that way to go and lift the trophy?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where they're coming from, and I've been in the changing rooms, and at the end of the day, he's one of your players, and you kind of think, well, this is a team effort, we've got to do it all together, we'll win, lose together, but the bottom line for me is that you can't accept that sort of behaviour in a Champions League semi-final, and then to do what he did yesterday, which is when the lads have done so much to run up the stairs, be on the stairs, but don't run up the stairs and get hold of the trophy like, look at me, this is what I've done. You've got to accept what the guys have done, when you did what you had to do.
Desmond, being a Liverpool supporter, I'm sure you looked on with envious eyes last night and you want to be there sometime soon. But do you think Chelsea deserve to be in that Champions League position? Do you think they deserve to win the Champions League, given the way that they performed?
Well, to be honest, we've been there 5 times, so we know all about it. However, I think when it comes to the Champions League, there is a large measure of luck. I mean, when we won it in 2005, obviously there was a large measure of luck, and I think it's whoever wins it deserves it. We could go back in history books, but the measure of luck isn't written down.
Yeah. Danny in Vancouver, Chelsea fan, joins us. Danny, I'll put that question to you. What about John Terry lifting the trophy? It was a wonderful night. Should have been culminated by somebody coming off the bench who kind of let his side down to lift the coveted trophy.
Well, there's no one who's a bigger John Terry advocate and supporter than myself, and I certainly understand the point. He made a big mistake in the last match. He rightfully was given the red card and was kicked out. That was a huge error. At the same time, he is our captain. He's the leader of our team. He's an icon, a Chelsea legend. And I think regardless of the fact that he wasn't there yesterday to be playing, he was integral in getting the team to that point.
When you say he's an icon, does that mean that he can get away with anything, Danny?
No, absolutely not. And if he makes a mistake, he needs to own up to what he's done, regardless of whether it's something in his personal life or something he's done on the pitch, and he needs to accept the consequences for it. I love John Terry, but he's a human being. He makes a mistake, and he should suffer consequences if he does do something wrong. I don't think anybody forgot, even though John Terry ran up there and grabbed the trophy, that it was Didier Drogba who was the key figure who got us in that point. So.
And Danny, who should be the next permanent manager of Chelsea Football Club?
I'd like to see Di Matteo be kept on. I think why not give him a crack? He got us to the FA Cup, he got us to the Champions League final, and to win that, and he doesn't have a big illustrious history like someone like Jose Mourinho yet, but why not give him a try?
Okay, there's a couple of things we just want to show you now. There's some pictures of some world leaders watching the game last night. David Cameron looks happy, which hasn't happened for a while, and Angela Merkel is very nervous. And I think that, and have a look at this. John Terry celebrating with some stars from around the world. I think that's Michael Jackson, and he's at the royal wedding, getting in on the act and things all around the world. And just goes to show he's a busy man, and he's got a very a strong character, let's say. Does he deserve this stick?
I don't think he deserves a stick. You know, I know he's done wrong, and you know everybody's spoken about it. But I really do think it's now time to move on. You know, he's going to be involved in the Euros. Let's all get behind him. Let's all wish him well. And I know he's got a pending court case, when he comes back from that to deal with. So good luck to him.
OK, look, stay with us here on Sports World Have Your Say. We'll soon be talking about who might get the Chelsea job full-time and what about the vacancy at Liverpool. Don't go anywhere. Jono, just talking about the Champions League last night, what's the best way to take a penalty? Is it Luiz's way, take a 40-yard run-up and smash it in the top corner? Or is it the Drogba way, take 2 steps and slide it in the bottom corner? Which way would you have done it?
I'll tell you, I'd have gone as far back as possible and absolutely smashed it. I mean, for me, Drogba, it's absolutely casual and calm and collective that he's done that in such a high-profile game. But credit to him, he scored.
I mean, it's not easy. I thought you were going to say you go as far back and not bother coming up and taking the penalty. It's not easy taking the penalty under pressure, is it?
Nah, I mean, I've been in playoff finals and my hamstring's always gone at that critical time. So for me, to go and just hit it as hard as you can is definitely the best way.
But how important is it that Drogba can do that?
It's immense, quickly. That he can stand there in the biggest stage and do that is absolutely immense. Credit to him.
It certainly was credit to him, and we'll see you in a little while here on Sports World Have Your Say. Hello, this is Sports World Have Your Say. I'm Leo Roseno. He is Michael Johnson, and we're talking about how last night in Munich the blue was the colour. Now, we talked about the Champions League, but I just want to talk about a few other managerial vacancies. There's Liverpool, there's Aston Villa, and there's West Brom. But let's start with the Liverpool vacancy, Jono. Young managers being touted. Who do you fancy for the job?
I'd like to see Martinez get it, and simply because I just think the style of football he plays is definitely fitting for a club with the tradition and the players. You look at Jan Molby, Kenny Dalglish, that sort of era. They just played football, and I'd like to see Martinez get it. OK, Des, you're a Chelsea fan. I'm sure you've enjoyed what's been... Oh, sorry, a Liverpool fan. You haven't enjoyed what's been going on at Anfield. Firstly, should Kenny have gone, and who should get the job now? He has gone.
Well, it's pretty tough and somewhat emotional subject, but you have to look at it really from the Americans' point of view. They've bought the club, they've more or less saved the club from administration, and at the start of the season they said they wanted results in the league. They gave in to the heritage and the fan calls, and it hasn't really worked out, especially in the league. And I think probably at this point, as much as it pains me to say, we need more of a manager and less of a curator.
OK, Danny, I'm going to put this to you as a Chelsea fan. Di Matteo hasn't been given the job. I would advise him to go and apply for some other jobs if Chelsea aren't going to give him the top seat. But who would you want? Who do you think should get the Liverpool job, Danny?
I think that seeing Roberto Martinez get it, that could be really key. It was a shame in a way to see Kenny Dalglish be let go. Yes, John Henry came in. He wants the results. He's not seeing the results that he wanted. So I can understand his thinking, but Dalglish was a Liverpool icon, going back to that phrase again. I think Roberto Martinez would be key, but I've seen names, everyone from Andre Villas-Boas to Pep Guardiola, be put forth as possible Liverpool choices. So.
OK, John, I mean, now that Kenny Dalglish is gone, what are the expectations at Liverpool now when the new manager gets the job?
Well, Champions League is definitely one. You've got to finish in the Champions League spot. And, of course, silverware. Liverpool's a big club. It's a massive club, and they deserve, and the fans expect to be challenging for honours. And quite honestly, I don't think the League Cup is enough, especially when you consider the amount of money that was given to Kenny Dalglish at the start of the season.
Des, I had loads of Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, trophies are trophies." Was the League Cup not enough?
No, in short, no. We had a remit of what we needed to do this season, and to either be in the Champions League or at least challenge for those places, to move further down the league and see teams like Newcastle, obviously Tottenham, overtake us, even Everton, which is strange in itself, overtake us has been, you know, it's been a little bit destroying on the club, and maybe the Americans looked at it and thought, you know, we've given this much money, we've wanted results, and it's not come, and we can't stop giving in to emotion.
And
John, just very quickly, Kenny Dalglish,
yeah,
was he just too old school? I mean, just backing your players 110%,
yeah,
lacking a lot of PR at Anfield. Was he just from the past?
I just think that, you know, especially, you know, when you look at the Sky and the way he handled the media, I think it's moved on a lot from when Kenny was last at the helm. And I don't think the likes of Suarez have helped him and aided him, because he's basically put him under pressure. And we've seen him basically buckle in front of some, you know, interviews, and he's not handled it the right and proper way. So for me, I think he's a great player, a great coach, but I think he's got to move with the times. I do think it's kind of left him behind a little bit.
Do you think anybody else is going to give him a job?
I'd like to see him get some kind of involvement upstairs again in Liverpool, because that's where he's strong. He's a great name. You know, when you talk about the great names of Liverpool, Kenny Dalglish is one of them. So he should go back upstairs in some capacity.
Well, I think he was offered it, John. But don't you think his pride might be just hurt a tinge a little bit?
Yeah, I've heard that. You know, that he's been offered it, and his pride, and he might not take the position offered to him. But and I'd like, where's he going to go from there? You know, there's not too many clubs that he's got an attachment to. So it's an interesting one.
John, as a former Birmingham player, there's some vacancies in the Midlands. There's West Brom and there's Villa. But Villa just had an awful season. Where do they go from here? Who can just lift them from the lows that they're at the moment?
Well, of course, the names are linked with Villa are the likes of Solskjaer. You know, he's been seen down at the ground. He's gone in for a meeting, and it's a big job to turn that club around. You know, they were challenging in the top 5 and 6 spots a few years ago, and all of a sudden, right at the bottom of the league. You talk about West Brom across the road there, and Chris Hughton, a man I'm very fond of with my connections at Birmingham City. And from a selfish point of view, I wouldn't want him to go. But of course, the lure of Premier League football, you know, money to go and spend on players, and obviously a better wage might pull him from St Andrews. So it's an interesting one.
Des, who would you like to see at Villa? Who do you think would be a good fit for Villa?
Villa, well, they've tried with Martinez, and Ole Solskjaer would have been a good pick. I think Villa are one of those clubs that are in stasis, and it's kind of hard to see who wants to go there, because I don't think they've really got that much money to spend. Players like Darren Bent seem a little bit restless. They've lost a lot of players before, and they may need to start again, look abroad, maybe see someone like Owen Coyle, one of the teams that have come down, and see someone who could work with resources that aren't really as big as many Villa fans would have expected.
What about Danny? Do you think that West Brom will take Di Matteo back if he doesn't get the Chelsea job?
Oh, goodness. I really hope that we don't even have to look at that. I hope he's at Chelsea at least for a season coming up.
And who do you think should get the West Brom job?
I'm not sure at this point. I think they have a real key moment here to be able to shake things up. We might see some players going, and they've got an opportunity to really turn things around for themselves. So I'm not 100% sure at this point, but it'll definitely be interesting to see.
Well, thanks, Danny. Look, thanks for watching Sports World Have Your Say. It's our end of season special with me, Leroy Rosenio, and Michael Johnson. Don't forget, although this is the last edition, the conversation goes on our Facebook page and on Twitter with the hashtag SWHYS. OK, let's start talking football. I'm Leroy Rosenio, and with me is Jamaica and Birmingham legend Michael Johnson. And we're looking back at what many think was the best season ever. Look, with me, I've got Peter in Johannesburg. I've also got Parth, who's in Mumbai, he's a Man United fan, and Dan, who's a West Ham fan. But I tell you, let's talk about those heroes of the season that we were talking about. And you've been voting about who you feel have been the real effect on you this season. And there we have Didier Drogba, obviously with a trophy on his head. He scored that first goal and that final penalty. Roberto Martinez, he just stuck true to his principles. They were bottom of the table for a long time, but beat all the top sides going into the run-in. And obviously Fabrice Muamba with Andrew Dina, one of the men who saved his lives on that fateful night at Spurs. And Robin van Persie, 30 goals this season, a marvellous, marvellous season for Arsenal, and almost single-handedly got them to third spot. And that final one, Who is that final one? It's Sergio Aguero. You only see his hands there. I had to guess who it was. But he's a man who kept calm while all around him you had people like Balotelli and Tevez kicking off. So where do we start? I think we start with Fabrice Muamba. You know, what a story that is. We had the tragedy, obviously, with Gary Speed, but we almost lost a professional football player on the field of play, which is something that no one would ever have envisaged happening, but no one could have believed that people would react in the way they did. It was an absolutely amazing night, and it was fantastic that Muamba is up and looking as fit as he is, Jono. Have you ever witnessed anything like that before?
No, never witnessed it before in my life, you know, in my football career, and the fact that it's pulled football together in such a way, it's been immense. And the doctor there, you know, I just full credit for him to be running out and to saving Muamba's life like that. You know, for me, he's been absolutely brilliant. And obviously now, hopefully, Muamba's, you know, he's back on his feet. Who knows what the future holds for him? Is he going to get back playing? You know, is he going to get back to some standard? But hopefully, you know, his life is saved. And I know he's giving his all to God, and God bless him for that. You know, he's been absolutely an inspiration to us all.
Peter in Joburg, you most probably have voted for Drogba on that list, wouldn't you?
Most definitely. The other thing is our other African players at Chelsea have been absolutely superb. Obi Mikel and Essien. So the reality for Chelsea is that our team is built around African heroes. And we in South Africa think that's fantastic.
Now, talking about Africa, but you've got Parth, who's in Mumbai as a Man United fan. Parth, you didn't quite have enough heroes in your Manchester United side this season, did you?
Yeah, fell short, but, you know, they lost the title on goal difference, so not too bad. I think it's been a decent season for United. And to go toe-to-toe with City till the last day, I think that says volumes about their performance.
Is there anybody else you'd add to that list, Parth, in terms of heroes?
Rooney definitely stepped up for United. And I thought Van Persie was fantastic for Arsenal.
Jono, anybody you feel should be on that list that we've missed out?
Not really. I think for me, you've got them all. You know, for me, you've got the main one there, Muamba. You've got Drogba there. You know, Aguero, against all, you know, certain things happening in the changing rooms. He's kept to his beliefs and he's been brilliant. So I think you've got them all. But for me, it's got to be the doctor what saved Muamba's life for me.
Oh, okay, I just want to bring Dan in. He's a West Ham fan in London. Dan, was that heroes list comprehensive enough for you, or are we missing someone?
I think that there's certainly a case to be made for the Swansea manager, Brendan Rodgers, just for the way he's got his team playing, and for, again, sticking to his ethos and playing through teams. I mean, look at a guy like Leon Britton, who had the highest pass accuracy in the whole of Europe, and that's an amazing thing for a team that have just come into the Premier League. And just to play that well and do that well in your first season up, I think he certainly deserves a bit of recognition for that. Dan,
well, let's go a bit further. I mean, with Brendan Rodgers and Roberto Martinez and those teams that came up playing really attractive football and scoring lots of goals. Is that just a change of attitude amongst teams that are coming up, Dan?
I think it's just more that teams in the past would come up to the Premier League and they'd almost go tentatively into it rather than throwing themselves in headlong and just going for it. And I think that's what the teams nowadays are doing. They come up into the Premier League and they figure, well, we've got nothing to lose. Everybody's expecting us to go straight back down, so let's just go at them. And teams are finding it paying off. I mean, QPR didn't do so well this year, but certainly Norwich and definitely Swansea, I think, really exemplify that.
OK, we've been asking you, the viewers, to video in, and here's Heidi, as a Man City fan in the UK.
Without being biased, Manchester City all the way. We are the best team. United, almost. Best moment was probably 6-1, beating United, just winning the league. 44 years, finally. Worst moment was Tevez saying he wanted to leave. Well, now you don't, and we're here to stay.
Jono, I think Heidi was slightly biased, but but Jono, lots and lots of goals. What's happening with the Premier League? You know, is it bad defending or just entertaining play?
I think it's just entertaining play, and, you know, the speed at what some of the players are going at now and the skill levels. I mean, you look at some of the results what have been flying around this season. It's been absolutely immense, and for me, it shows why the Premier League is the league in the world to watch.
Peter, is it entertaining football or just poor defending from too many teams in the Premier League?
It's definitely entertaining football. And if you look at the way Martinez plays, Man City plays, Swansea as well, the guys are knocking it around and they're really playing entertaining football. And I think that's going to lead to goals. I don't think it's necessarily bad defending. I think the bar's been raised. They're playing very exciting and attractive football.
Dan, your West Ham support, obviously, they've just come up. Do you think that the teams coming up are going to add to the mix?
I certainly think so. Big Sam certainly isn't afraid to get in teams' faces and play attractive football on the deck, as well as his reputation for lumping it up onto the strikers. I think certainly teams have got a lot of impetus now. They can look at what Norwich and certainly Swansea have done and really take heart from that and just attack. And I certainly think that the standard of defending has been lower this season, but with teams looking to shore up over the summer, you could find it's perhaps not plain sailing for the teams coming up this year.
Something that's been entertaining in a different way are, I suppose, the villains of the piece this season. There they are, Suarez, Tevez, who went missing for 3 months, John Terry with his red card in the semi-final of the Champions League. You know, Mario Balotelli, I suppose, who would be described as maybe a lovable rogue. And some do maybe not so lovable, Joey Barton, for his actions in the last game of the season. Who do you pick, Jono?
For me, Joey Barton, you can't do what he did, you know. Not only to get sent off by elbow when he's actually gone to knee somebody on the way off, and then he looked like he's going to throw an headbutt. And that's just one incident, you know. There's been several incidents on the pitch regarding Joey Barton and on his Twitter site. For me, he's definitely the bad boy this season.
Peter, sorry, John Terry's got to be a candidate for a villain. Just have a look at what Akuno says here on Facebook. Terry shouldn't have lifted the trophy. I'm sure it wasn't too heavy for Super Frank to lift it alone. Terry is a villain. Peter, is he a villain or a hero?
John Terry's a hero. I think that he had a major judgment error in terms of that foul he committed in the semi-final. We're all human, but he's a major hero at Chelsea Football Club.
Go on, Jono.
Can I just ask you, what if they'd lost that semi-final or even the final? Would your opinion have changed?
Football's football. Those guys were playing games every 3 days. They were under a high degree of pressure. No, I don't think so. I mean, people make mistakes. We've got to accept it and move forward.
Okay.
Dan, I'll just put this to you. When they're a good player, it's an error of judgment and they're only human. When they're not so good, let's get them out of the club. Is that right?
I think that's really, it's got to be taken on a case-by-case basis. Something like Joey Barton against Manchester City, certainly I think QPR need to have a good hard look at that. But, I mean, John Terry is such a figure for Chelsea, and whether you like him or not, whether you think he's a villain or a hero, I think Chelsea would be a weaker team without him, and everyone at the club is sensible enough to know that and realise that. So it needs to be taken on a case-by-case.
Dan, on our screen, we've got the pictures of those 5 villains. One of them, I'm sure, isn't a villain to you, Carlos Tevez. But if he'd disappear for 3 months for a golfing holiday when he was at West Ham, would you feel that he could have hero status?
Well, it certainly pushes to the limit, I have to say that. West Ham fans are not exactly a forgiving bunch, let's put it that way. But I certainly think that Tevez, what he did for us when he was at the club, he'd certainly have to work very hard to go down in our estimation. Doesn't excuse what he's done at Man City, but I think that it's a very different situation for him there than it was when he was with us.
John, I just want to touch on one player in there we haven't touched on, Luis Suarez. Do you think, as good a player as he is, was he the reason that ultimately Kenny Dalglish lost his job?
Yeah, for me, it didn't help, Leroy. You know, you put Kenny in such a situation, and you know, especially the incident there when he could have, you know, shook over his hand, and then it all gets reignited again, and then Kenny's embarrassed on national TV, and he didn't know how to handle it. And I'm sure the handling of the situation didn't help Kenny, because Liverpool's a global brand. And I didn't think he handled that situation right, and that's because of a certain Suarez who kept putting him in a situation. So that, with the results, I think made Kenny lose his job. Okay,
Balotelli, I described him as a lovable rogue. Is he someone that you think has been good or bad for the Premier League?
I think he's been a breath of fresh air. Don't get me wrong, he's done some incidents which you can't say well done to, but he's a young boy, he's learning his trade. But also, there's good stuff what he does. You know, he gives people money off who are not well off. He's filling up people's cars at service stations. He's been immense, and I think there should be more of people like that in the Premier League.
Parth is back with us from Mumbai. Parth, Man City had two villains in our list, Balotelli and Tevez, but they still managed to beat your lot. And so I mean, what does that say about Man United?
I guess City had more heroes than villains this season. But like I said before, United did pretty well to keep in pace with the City squad. It's probably the best in the Premier League by far. And United did choke at the end. You would say that. You don't expect that from United. But the 8-point lead and the way they threw it, that'll hurt them. And I think they'll come back stronger next season.
Jono, so there it is. There's Keith, is an Arsenal fan in South Africa, and this is what he thought were the lows and highs in the season.
Low points have to be the 8-2 defeat to Man United. Losing our captain, SWHYS Fabregas. Another low point for everyone was obviously seeing the scenes of Patrice Muhamba and collapse on the field. Glad he's doing much better. Some of the high points are obviously the close title race that we had, the emergence of players like Ben Arfa and Kun Aguero lighting up the league, Robin van Persie, Wayne Rooney, Suarez, just doing what they do. One of my high points for the season was definitely beating Spurs.
This is Keith, an Arsenal supporter, John. Arsene Wenger's had 7 years of fairly lows and slightly highs. Would he be a villain of the piece this year?
No, I think Arsene's put it round. Definitely just early on in the season, people were talking about him maybe losing that role he's got as a manager of a great football club like Arsenal. But the results have got up there. He's got them in the Champions League place, and now he's got an opportunity to secure the services of a certain Robin van Persie. Whether he does that or not, I think is a big plus or minus for what they do next year.
OK, stay with us here on Sports World Have Your Say, the programme where you, the fans, talk about football with us, on the phone, online, at our Facebook page and here in person. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to World Have Your Say. I'm Leroy Rosinha, and with me in the studio is Michael Johnson, but as I'm an ex-footballer, I call him Jono. OK? But what we want to talk about is newcomers to the league. I've got Dan, a West Ham supporter in London, and Danny in Vancouver is a Chelsea supporter. Danny, you, the Chelsea supporter, about all the teams that are coming up. Oh, sorry, Dan, the West Ham supporter, you're going to be coming up. You've just come through the playoffs. How much are you looking forward to being back in the Premier League?
Oh, well, being in the Premier League means absolutely everything. I mean, West Ham are a Premier League club who, just for whatever reason, just kind of fell away over the last few years. It's amazing to be back, and to go up the way we did was fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Big Sam can do with us in the Premier League.
Oh, you're happy with Sam now? I thought you said you were delusional, the West Ham fans.
Well, I mean, perhaps he was right. I mean, he's sort of proven us wrong with his results, but I mean, there are still question marks about his style. People think he's a bit too negative at home, but the results don't lie. So let's see what he can do in the Premier League. That's going to be his real test now.
Danny, you're a Chelsea fan in Vancouver. Who's out of the three, Reading, Southampton and West Ham, who are you more worried about? Because the teams that came up this year did fantastically well.
There are three fantastic teams who have really fought hard to come back up into the Premier League. And I think if I'm worried about any of them, it would definitely be West Ham. They have a tremendous history, and they have done well in the Premier League in the past. They're a force to be reckoned with, who unfortunately ended up being down this last season. So.
Oh, we just had this from Bradley's about West Ham. He says, going down and starting again has resurrected the soul and pride at West Ham. We are back. Jono, obviously your team, Birmingham, just missed out. I'm sure you're disappointed about that. But
gutted.
It's not always the biggest side of the three coming up that does the best. Just look at QPR. Who do you think will fare the best in the Premier League next season?
I think Reading will do really well next year. I think the format and the structure of that club has been set. My worry with West Ham is the style of football that Sam plays. Is it going to be dear into the Premier League? I know the fans are going to start to get on his back. It can be forgiven in the Championship, but the Premier League, I don't know if that's going to be, quite right and fitting for their fans. So for me, Reading's going to be the team what actually I think will do well this year.
Well, look, this is the first time since 2001 that all the teams that came up have stayed up, John. Can it happen again?
I doubt it. I really worry for the likes of Southampton, but for me, it's going to be interesting. The West Ham, with the style of football, I can see there's going to be a friction with the fans. Big Sam's going to play that Bolton style of football. How long before they're going to keep allowing that to happen? So it's an interesting summer.
Okay, Peter in Johannesburg, you're back with us. Who are you concerned about of the newcomers that are coming into the Premier League?
The difficulty for Chelsea being a London team is whenever London teams come up like Reading and West Ham, it means 4 extra derbies that we're going to have to play. So the London teams in those derbies are always difficult. We always hope that other than London teams come up. Southampton has got a very good history and there's a big supporter base in South Africa, and I think they're going to do well. But for Chelsea, those West Ham and Reading derbies are, in a long season, those add extra stress and pressure to the players.
Dan, are you worried about, Dan, the West Ham supporter, are you worried about coming back into the Premier League? Do you think it's more competitive than it was when we went down?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's always going to be a worry for a team coming back up into the Premier League, especially when they've been in the Championship. And for whatever reason, the style down there is so much different to the Premier League. The Premier League's so much faster. There's a better quality of player, and there are players in that league now who we didn't have to deal with the last time we were there when we were struggling. So,
what do you think about Big Sam? And his style of football, do you think that's going to be fitting for the Premier League? Are you concerned about, maybe they like the Bolton style of football?
Well, I do worry because obviously West Ham have got a reputation for being a very good passing football club, but at the same time, Big Sam's got previous for doing things like this with Bolton, and he was doing pretty well at Blackburn before he had the unpleasantness there. So he is a Premier League manager. He's got a proven record of keeping teams in the Premier League, so it'll be very interesting to see how it goes.
John, I mean, Sam Allardyce coming up with West Ham, obviously they went down with Avon Grant, and 2 of his sides are going the opposite way. Is he the perfect person to make sure that West Ham stay in the Premier League for a little while now?
Well, I think mission 1's been accomplished. Now, this is a big kettle of fish to stay in the Premier League, but it's a style of football which I'm worried about. Are the West Ham fans going to forgive him for playing the long ball style of football that he's been, well known for? I can't see it happening, and something's got to give, whether, Sam tries to change his philosophy or the West Ham fans adhere to the way he wants to play football.
Will Sam ever change his philosophy?
Can't see it, and that's what makes it so interesting next year. I can really see there's going to be a collision course coming here.
Okay, who do you think is going to be winning the honours at the end of next season? Dan, the West Ham fan, it's not going to be West Ham, let's be honest, but who do you think is going to win the title?
It's hard to look past Man City, to be honest, because, I mean, getting this first title under their belt is going to be a massive load off their mind. And they're going to be able to attract a class of player that even they wouldn't have been able to attract before. I mean, there's talk of RVP going over there already, and if they bolster their squad with the kind of players that they can bring in, it's hard to see Manchester United keeping pace with them, and there really doesn't seem to be anybody else who's ready to take that big step up and breach that gap.
Peter, and who's going to win the title next year?
I'd say Manchester City again. They've got the money, the squad and the players, and they're playing a very nice brand of attacking football.
Okay, we've done a lot of awards, but there's still one that we need to give out, and that's for the worst haircut, because there have been some awful haircuts this season. There's Andy Carroll, there's David Luiz, there's Fellaini, the Spider from Kalu. I don't know what that one was about, and obviously Alex Song with the hairbrush or sweeping brush. Jono, I've seen you play, and you've had a few of those haircuts in your time. Which one do you think should take the honours?
For me, Kalou is, I don't know what he's thinking. It was such a big game having a spider on the back of his head. So it's a weird one. So for me, Kalou definitely takes the honours there.
We got Jay from Hair in the City. He's a professional hairdresser. Jay, I want your professional advice. Who wins the honours here?
I would probably say, Kalou as well. With the spider on the back of his neck, it's not really that good.
It's not that good. I mean, the person who did it, didn't they do a decent job, or is it poor?
Yeah, no, the pattern and the shading's really good on there. It's just the actual pattern, the way it's done's been really good, but the pattern of it, it's not really something that would start a trend or anything. To have a spider on the back of your head.
Could I come in your shop and get that kind of pattern? Is that something you'd do?
No, it's not something that we would do in the salon, but we do get a lot of people come in for different designs of shaving and stuff.
Jay, I have to say, there's one coming up to the Premier League that's worse than all those. Dan, West Ham, what's happening with Ricardo Vaz-Tezed? What's happening? Dan?
longer every time, and I just can't help but think that Mr. Frohawk, as he's being called by some fans now, I think it's just going to get wilder and wilder, and as long as he keeps scoring goals, more power to him.
And Pete, very quickly, the two players on there, Kalou, should he stick with it? Yes or no, Pete?
I say Kalou should stick with it. He's a fantastic player. Let the guy show a bit of individuality and flair. I like it. I like that spider.
I'm glad you do. And that's where we must finally bring the curtain down on a memorable season. We said goodbye to a few people we'll miss. We've seen a new name on the Premier League trophy, lost Bolton, Blackburn and Wolves from the top flight, but welcome back West Ham, Reading and Southampton. And seen Liverpool win a cup, but lose a manager. Thanks to everyone who shared it with us at Sports World Have Your Say. On behalf of Michael, Jason, Brighty and myself and all the team, have a great close season and goodbye.